All right, everybody, welcome, welcome. We are back with another edition. We might have gotten canceled after the last one, but we're gonna keep it going until
We
they
didn't get
tell
that letter
us.
in the mail yet.
Yeah. Well, so we are back. My name is Juan. I am here with Mark and Kevin, and we like movies. And
You.
today
Sometimes.
we've we've got a movie. That was chosen by Mark. It's called The Card Counter. You've probably never heard of it. I hadn't heard of it. Kevin probably hadn't heard of it. It was a surprise to all of us. But nevertheless, we watched it. We have thoughts. I'll tell you a little bit about it, as difficult as that is, because it's kind of a hard one to nail down. But it's this guy. He's a gambler. He was ex military, um, and he did some terrible things while he was in the military. Now he again is going around gambling. He meets a younger kid who was also wrapped up in what happened in the military through his father, who killed himself. Now this kid is out to get revenge. The gambler, Bill William, decides to take the kid under his wing to try to maybe mentor him and guide him maybe towards a better path. Um, Things kind of unravel, and I'll just leave it there for now. So that's kind of a little bit about The Card Counter, directed by Paul Schrader. Mark, this was your pick. Why don't you start us off?
I'm surprised you guys hadn't heard about it. I mean, Scorsese, Schrader, no. I thought I was picking low hanging fruit. The
Well,
other
not
the other one I wanted to do that you guys had seen already. I think that one was more. Um, I figured
Mainstream.
that would. I figured that would have been more obscure, but you guys had already seen that one.
well, not
Um,
not just that, but I love Oscar Isaac, and yet
yeah, that
this
is
was
true.
this was completely under the radar for me.
Yeah, no, I had heard some rumblings about it, and I was interested in seeing what Paul Schrader can do. I think this is like his own thing, written and directed by him. So I've always wondered if it was Schrader that was holding up Scorsese or the other way around. But I think Schrader can hold his own. I thoroughly enjoyed the movie. Every turn I was like, this is getting better and better. I will say my only gripe is I wish he would have played more blackjack, but I enjoy poker, so I was okay with that swap. But no, I don't really, I don't really want to get into it. I kind of want to hear what you guys think first because it sounds like I might be the minority here. But I thought Isaac was great. I felt like he played it. He played the character great. I felt like he had his issues because of things that he had done, um, and now he has this temperament about himself. And he tries to do good. It doesn't work out, and he ends up back to where he started. So I thought it was. I highly enjoyed it. But please, someone else. I'd love to hear more.
Kevin?
Um, I liked Juan's retelling of it. I wish that was the movie that I saw because I found the movie to be, for lack of a better term, very obtuse. And again, I guess I watched it after watching another Oscar Isaac show. So I was like, all right. I was feeling it at first, but like I didn't get some stuff that was happening sometimes. I'm like, what's going on here? Why are we doing this? I did ask myself, can a movie be good and also really slow and I not like it? Because I really wasn't feeling like I was, it's weird. Like I had so many feelings watching this movie. I'm like, why is this happening right now? Like I don't feel the relationships. You know what I mean? To me, I was like, all right, now he's really feeling for this kid. And then I forgot what her name what her name was. La something. I forgot her name.
Linda. But I think that
Linda.
was the point of it. Like he had his reserves because he's coming out of prison for, doing something that he was. I mean,
Yeah,
it was his job.
But then they had like this quick romancing that happened, and then the ET touch at the end, and I was just like,
Oh yeah, you weren't picking up on the signs, man.
I don't think. Oh no, I picked up the signs, but I just didn't like. I could tell it was a good movie. Like I'm like, okay, this is a good movie. I could tell, but I don't like it. Like
I want to believe.
Well, even the first time that him and La Linda sit down at the bar and talk, you can tell right there that she's like, look at him like, okay, I can see myself doing something with this guy. And he even hit her with the I like you just as friends. And you could see her face go down like, oh, that's what he looks me at. That's what he sees me as, just friends. So maybe you weren't watching those parts, but yeah, I mean, you can tell that she was interested somewhat in him. He deflected, but not in a way that probably he thought was a bad thing. He was just being honest. Hey, I like what we have here. And, then it gets to this point where she's like, what's up about him? Do I have to worry about him? And then we get to this point where, hey, let me show you. Have you ever seen the world light up at night? And I thought that was a nice moment, but I feel like they were laying it out like this is what it is.
Like, I'm not saying this was like Stillwater like that. I just felt like there were really good performances, and I'm like, I just felt like it was written. Oh, now they have to and it was just me. I could tell it was good when I was watching. I was like, oh, I'm not getting it apparently.
Yeah, I mean, I think I can kind of translate because I think I'm in between both of you. This is a good movie. It's a good story, but it suffers because first of all, it's very challenging. Like, this is not a movie that you can just watch and then I don't know, just go off and do something else. For me, I had to process it and think about what was being said here, because one, I think it suffers from character development. I think it suffers from bad acting, apart from Oscar Isaac. But part of the character development is just that, that there's so much mystery, there's so much ambiguity that it makes it hard at times to understand or really know what a character's motivation is. It's hard to kind of run with a clue that you might be given when you don't truly know this character. So you don't know what their motivation is. You don't know if Tiffany Haddish is trying to play him, trying to take advantage of him. I mean, it turns out she was being genuine, but you can't just jump to that conclusion. And this movie doesn't. It keeps you at the edge, wondering all those things up until the end, where you're like, oh, okay, I was kind of hoping that was the case, and it turns out it was, but the whole time it never really answered that up until the end. So it's just very kind of ambiguous throughout, and I'm sure that was a conscious choice, from the director, who also is the writer. And I like the directing. I don't like the writing so much. I do like the story that it's trying to tell about PTSD, about the guilt, the burden, the shame, that this guy is carrying, and how it impacts his actions and his relationships. But even Oscar Isaac's performance is not quite enough to overcome, some faults, and some flaws in the writing, which, it's okay for a movie throughout to have mystery and ambiguity, but at some point throughout, it also has to reveal some things. And this one doesn't reveal enough right up until the end. So while it was good, I also think it's very challenging. It's not for everybody, and it's hurt by some some choices that could have been better.
So you don't like those slow burn movies, then, huh?
I mean, again, I'm just saying that it was challenging. I think this one had a good payoff. Although I like me personally, I'm like, bro, if you're gonna give me this slow of a burn, you got to give me a good payoff. Like, let me see that torture scene at the end. Let me see some of the stuff that it didn't show me. Like so. But again, it was very thought provoking. You just really afterward, for me at least, I really had to invest like 10 or 15 minutes, kind of going like um going back throughout the movie and trying to then understand, okay, what was his motivation, what was happening, what was actually going on. So that makes it challenging when the movie invites you to that afterward, but throughout still didn't really, like you said, you've said you like movies that kind of, take you by the hand and just walk you, and you don't have to think a lot about it. I don't think this movie was that at all. Like, for me, I had to think a lot about, what this movie was really about and what it was saying.
Well, see, I felt like Bill was the only one that we were kind of like, well, what's going to happen with him? Because La Linda, she was just a side character. I mean, I know you were wondering if she was going to do something to him, but there was just not enough focus with her, so I was never really worried about her. I was just always wondering if, they were going to make it a love interest, which they did.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, once I forgot his name, but Ty Sheridan, once he comes in to play,
Kirk with a
uh,
C. How could you
Kurt
forget?
with
Kirk with a C.
Mark, yeah, that's right. Mark with a C, yeah. Um, yeah, once he comes in, he's kind of like all over the place too. But I was never really focused on him either. I was just focused on what Bill was going to do, because everything he was doing was so meticulous, and I was just invested on him. I wasn't looking anywhere else for anything, and I mean, I kind of felt like I knew where the movie was going, and that's why I felt like it was letting me, it was leading me by the hand. I was expecting it to end all nice and neat because of everything that happened. I wasn't expecting it to turn out like that, so that was pleasant. But no, I think I liked the way it was laid out. And he was describing why he was doing things as he was doing. I mean, every night he was pulling out his notebook and his whiskey and telling us about the day. So I mean, you were getting little mini recaps. But I mean, the story wasn't perfect. I don't think I'm not trying to say this was a perfect movie, but I do think it was better than you guys are giving it credit for.
I will say one thing, Mark. Like in the beginning when he was explaining card counting, it made me feel like I could do it. I was like, oh, he's explaining. I'm like, you know what? I could go make $500 a day doing this, going to different casinos.
Well, I mean,
So
I guess, but no, I did like the fact that they described that, because I knew that card counting was counting cards, but that was about it. And so the ones and the minuses and the pluses, I was like, oh, that's awesome. That's really cool to know that. But that's about it. Can't go
Well,
anywhere else with
no.
that.
And again, I think, all right, a slow burn for me, it's good if if you have, maybe not know, but you have some sense about the direction that the movie's headed in. This movie, it kept throwing you for loops, which prevented you from really being able to. I mean, I guess to its credit, I still found myself invested in William's character, because he was. I mean, the acting is just great, and he was an intriguing character. But at one point, you know, you're you're thinking, okay, he's a gambler, he's got a plan, he's up to something. Oh no, that changes. Now he is this about revenge? Is he gonna team up with this kid and go get revenge against this guy? Oh no, that doesn't happen. Now he's going to the World Series of Poker. Oh, so now is he trying to make a lot of money? Oh no, that doesn't happen. Now now he has a serious talk with the kid.
Bro.
Okay, he's trying to mentor the kid. Oh no, that kind of doesn't happen. So the whole time you're just like, dude, you keep
What are you
leading me.
Bro, he tells you when he sees the kid and the kid says, "Hey, I know you because I heavily researched your history and this is what I want to do." He goes, "Nah, man, you shouldn't do that." And then he sees that this kid's a loner. So, hey, let me take his mind off this. Hey, why don't you come ride with me? You're not
Oh
doing
yeah,
anything.
Mark. Yeah, but
Hey, they
Mark,
go.
like
Now
you
he's
act
going.
like but
And
you're talking like you're just supposed to take what everyone tells you as and like they're just the most honest, most genuine person in the world. Like no, you always have to wonder, is this person being honest? Is what they're saying true? What's their actual motivation? That's why I'm saying at the end it is confirmed like, oh, okay, this guy was
bro, I
being
do that in real life, man. I don't do that in movies.
Listen,
I don't
listen,
look and go, man, I
I,
wonder if this guy's bad or good. I don't do
but
that.
I will tell you, like, I thought something was up with Kirk with a C because every time, like, there's one part where he went to go to the bathroom. He's like, "Hey, I'm gonna go. Like, I gotta go take care of the hose or whatever."
Yeah.
And I was like, I was intrigued. I was like, "Oh, what's he gonna go do?" I think because we always stayed on Oscar Isaac's character, Willem. Like, we never saw it, so I thought shenanigans was afoot with that kid because he kept leaving and then coming back, leaving. I'm like, and I'm not again. I may be the only one because they were like,
No,
"Oh,
he was forgettable for me.
no." So towards the end, when they're like, "Oh, somebody got killed," I'm like, "Well, they never mentioned that Kirk got killed." I thought he was. I was like, "Oh, is it going to be the girl?" I was like, "What if it's Kirk with a C? What if he fooled Oscar Isaac for some reason to kill this guy?" And it wasn't it. So I started overthinking at the end, trying to make it interesting for me. But I
Yeah,
failed.
it sounds like y'all were expecting something and you weren't getting it because you keep thinking about this and oh no, that's not happening.
And again, it wasn't a bad movie. I'm not going to say it's a
No,
bad movie.
I
It just
I
wasn't.
hear what you guys are saying. I'm
Yeah.
just giving you a hard time because it sounds like you're about to hit it with the one little Jerry and I got to make sure that that doesn't happen because this is
I promise you,
definitely a
there's a
mess.
decimal point. There's a decimal point in
That
here.
makes it even worse. That makes it even with smears
It
the
could be.
name even more.
It could be a 2.15. You don't know me.
Yeah, you're right. But no, just going off what Juan said, like I felt like this is what he's gonna do. And even when he finally took on this kid and found out he had all those debts, I'm thinking that okay, he's done some bad things in his life. Now he has the opportunity to help this random person. Why he would do it, I don't know. I don't care. That's just a part of the movie. So
no,
this is. But I don't care. I don't. It is
but
what he said. He's gonna help him out. Now,
no, but
if it
I
comes
can
out,
tell you why. I
why?
can tell, and that thinking about what the character's motivation is, why he's making those decisions, that does matter because there's a lot more to unpack in the story than just this straightforward guy about this straightforward story about this guy who did bad things in his past, wanting to help this kid out, and then blah blah blah, like
Yeah, but even
tie it with a bow, and that's it. Like there's a lot more to it that this is saying about post-traumatic stress disorder, and
yeah,
again,
but
that's
even as we yeah, but as we learn about all the torture, we still feel that Isaac, his that Bill is still a good guy. So when he does this for the kid, I'm just taking it as okay, he's trying to do something nice because he got screwed over by this guy too, by Gordo. So, I didn't think of it as, oh, now he's going to torture this kid to death or he's going to use him as bait to get to Gordo. I never thought of it like that. I took it for what it was. This guy, his dad was ruined. His life was ruined by this guy. His life's being ruined by it. And he figured, hey, let me go do something about it. He meets one guy that could actually do something about it, and he gets told, no, I'm not going to do anything about it. This guy says, oh, hey, why don't you just come with me then? Well, I guess. I mean, sure, why not? But crazy stuff like that happens all the time in real life. Me or you aren't going to do something like that, but there's plenty of stories of people who just get in cars with random people and they end up having a great adventure. Sometimes they end up dead. Like you never know, but it happens in real life. But to look at the movie and go, oh man,
no.
that's why I like this movie.
I'm not arguing that that doesn't happen in real life. I'm arguing that, and I said I like the story, but the movie does not do a good job of telling that story. So I get that all it's very believable, and I'm not judging the characters for anything that they did. It's just the movie did not present it as well, even though it's still a beautifully shot movie, and I like a lot of things that the director did. There was a lot of uh, action, a lot of movement that happened off the camera that reminded me of a movie that I really like called um what is it called now? Fun. It's called Funny
Wow, your
Games.
favorite movie.
No, it's Funny Games, and it's a
Oh yeah,
commentary,
funny games.
commentary on horror movies and
Yeah.
people's proclivity to violence. This movie, what I really loved about it, again, is what it was saying. I don't know if underneath the surface, but the deeper thing that it was saying here, it reminded me of, because all right, let me ask you a question. When he was in prison, right? You remember the scene where he was eating with the other guy,
Yeah.
and he was just sitting there still, just looking, and he wasn't eating his food while the other guy was eating, and the other guy was like 2 times his size, and
Yeah.
then he just reaches over and grabs that apple from that guy's plate and eats it, and then he's like quickly like making excuses, but then eats the apple anyway, and that guy punches him twice, almost knocks his teeth out,
Hmm.
and then he just gets back up and he's just standing there, and that's all you really know about that. Why do you think he did that?
Oh, for the top dog mentality. They say in prison you're supposed to go at the top dog, the biggest guy, and you're supposed to go and fight him. Well, I guess he saw it as, well, I'm not going to fight this guy because he's obviously going to win. So I'm just going to let him pummel me, but I'm going to keep getting up and make it look like I'm crazy. So that time he got up and his teeth were all busted and he smiled at him with the blood. You saw the guy, he just shook his head. He's like, I'm done with this. So I took it as he was just letting him know, hey, don't mess with me and I'm crazy, because that's the trope in movies and shows. And when you go to prison, that's what you're supposed to do.
Yeah, but then you allow those tropes to lead you to jump into conclusions, because see, I don't see it that way based on everything else. And I mean, I do think you make a good point. That could be it. But my interpretation is that this guy cannot forgive himself because he was a good person. He allowed circumstances to lead him to doing some truly horrifying things. And now the rest of his life, no matter what, he cannot forgive himself. That's why I think deep down, he doesn't think he deserves a good life. So even that, like getting beat up for him, it's a form of like punishment that he deserves. And then even what happens to him at the end through that torture, and then himself calling up the cops and turning himself in, along with what he's saying at the beginning and at the end about how he actually likes being in prison because of the discipline and the regiment and all that. He's like saying, I don't deserve freedom. I don't deserve all that money that I earned. That's why it was so easy for me to give it to this other kid or to do it for him or whatever, and hope that he has a better chance than I did. But to me, the whole thing of the movie, and that's why for me, it's also kind of it for me, I think it's influenced by the Stanford prison experiment. I don't know if you guys ever saw that movie or ever heard about it, but it's an experiment that this psychiatrist did, or psychologist. I never remember which is which, but this guy did, where he just took volunteers from a college that he was working at, and just set them up in a building or whatever, and he chose some of them to be prisoners and some of them to be guards. And it was completely random, but then as the days went by, the guards started to kind of abuse the prisoners, and power got to their head, and it got really crazy and really out of hand. And I think this kind of plays on that, how this guy was changed by that circumstance. And now it's like you're getting to see, perhaps like in that Stanford prison experiment, what those individuals who were the prison guards felt afterward. Is, I think, a lot of what he continues to carry with him. Again, this guilt, and even just seeing the monster that is within him, that was released from his cage, that now he can never unsee that. and it's like a Pandora's box that he can never ever shut. So again, that's why to me the movie is actually a lot less interesting than what is what it's really saying, but it's not showing you or telling you.
The last part lost me.
What?
No, the last part Juan said lost me.
That again, I mean, I guess we can go back to this. Like, I guess it's a matter of perspective. The clues that I picked up on, or the information that they gave us about the character, and again, what his motivation is, what his purpose is, what it is that he's intending to do. For me, it said something that I think maybe for you or for Mark said something differently, and it kind of, for me, it even maybe made it like a different movie for each of us.
Yeah, Kevin, you got to jump in, man, because I feel like me and Juan are just talking. So
I am. I'm listening. Again,
I know
I'm like,
you can't. You got to stop listening, bro. Jump in.
It's not the movie I thought. Like, there's no, like, I don't want to badmouth it. Like, I don't, because again, I don't think it's bad. I didn't get all the deepness in it. I do like aspects of it. I like shots of it. Like, I felt like the visceralness of like the prison torture, scenes. It's just ultimately it was like eggs, flour, all like these great milk, and it didn't make a cake for me. It was just all these parts that I thought were decent. I thought Kirk was asleep. No, it wasn't. It was
cake. What did it make?
I don't know. It's. I pulled it out of the oven. I'm like, oh, this is not a cake, man. I cannot serve this to anybody.
But like, I mean, yeah.
Oh, so it's not something you would give anybody.
But no, like I liked Oscar Isaac. Like what I said, I know I was watching a good movie. It just wasn't doing it for me.
But it's, I mean, it's kind of like, I mean, I almost like feel like it's a disservice to the movie. It's like you didn't even think about it. Like you just watched.
To go off what you said, Juan, I don't. You went into it way deeper than I did, because I was taking a very surface level. The way he was, that I felt like he had changed his demeanor because he's been in prison for so long. He's been by himself for so long. He just prefers that. The way he wraps up things in the apartment, I took that as he just doesn't want to leave DNA behind, because maybe that's how he got caught. I don't know. That's how I took it. Or maybe he doesn't. I don't know. And I think that's the bet. That's why, you have these discussions with movies, because we don't know what they're trying to tell us. You could be spot on and they didn't do a good job of doing that. I could be right, or it could be whatever Kevin has in front of him. We don't know. I just think that I think you were like, man, you were sifting through going, man, there's something really good here. And it never gave you that satisfaction of finding something good, because it was never as good as you wanted it to be.
No, the movie didn't. I do feel satisfied with what I was able to infer from it afterward.
I want to say something in my defense real quick. Before, I'm sorry to cut you off.
I actually want to attack you a little bit more real quick.
I know, but I'm gonna let you finish. But let me just say one thing.
Now he wants to
talk. Now I will say this, because you use the word disservice. I think the movie did me a disservice if I have to sit there and sift through it and figure out what I just saw, like to the degree that you're talking about, that I have to go dissertation level. I sat down to enjoy a movie. You know what I mean? I watched it in 2 parts because I thought maybe it was because I was watching it late night. I wasn't into it. I watched it again at a better hour. Still did not do anything for me. I'm like, again, I thought Oscar Isaac's performance was great. I honestly thought Kirk was the kid from Peacemaker. He was not him. You know what I mean? I'm like, but he did an okay job. The USA guy I thought was so cliche.
Yeah, okay. But
no,
I'm saying
but
that
it didn't do it for me.
I
That's all I'm
understand
saying.
that, but Kevin saying, or I'm sorry, Juan saying that it was his big thing, and I'm saying I don't feel like that it was that way at all, and I enjoyed what I got. I'm trying to figure out what you got out of it because you keep saying you don't know what you got out of it. So
I
Yeah,
know,
I we
like I got parts that I liked, but like to me, like again, like it's like baking the cake where I see this, I see this. Also, by the way, I when the movie started, they just straight up started with like it's. I thought it was Stranger Things with the music that were playing. I didn't vibe with the music on it. Again, I know what I watched was well done. I just did not like it. Didn't do anything. It didn't move me. It didn't make me. It didn't entertain me on a surface level. It didn't make me want to think deeper about what was happening. It didn't make me want to like. I will agree with Juan where there was a lot of things that were just left open. I was like, all right, well, we could have explored this more. Anything. I didn't. I didn't feel what they presented on screen like besides Oscar Isaac's character, Billy, Bill, like they didn't delve into anything. I didn't care about like that he was trying. Like I'm like, all right, why is he trying so hard? I mean, yeah, he knew his dad. He's trying to save this kid. I didn't care about him like liking the girl. I was just like, all right, I don't I like none of it was moving me to think anything or just even enjoy it. I watched it. I was like, hey, I've watched a movie.
yeah, and that's why, like, I mean, for me, that's disappointing,
yeah,
because like I'm not knocking Mark because Mark liked what he saw. He felt like,
at least I'm giving you something.
yeah, like he didn't have feel any need to go deeper because he's like, okay, I like what I saw, I understood it, boom, bam, let's go, let's move on. Me, I think I was left with at the end just like, okay, I need to think, because it did get. I guess there were things that I just questioned, like why that scene in the prison happened with him and that guy and him taking that apple. That was very puzzling to me. I had to think about that. Then coupled with the end, like why did he basically like ruin his life to get sent back into prison? Like these things made me think like, this isn't just bad directing or bad, acting. Like this is all very intentional. So what is this trying to say? So I at least, maybe I'm stretching it too much or really digging deep to, what I feel it's saying. But I mean, I definitely feel like there was more there than just saying this movie was boring. I wasn't entertained, and that's it. Like I just feel like you didn't really give it a chance.
I did. I wouldn't want it to like it. Like my favorite, like for some reason, one of my favorite scenes of this movie was when they pulled up to that prison and he was trying to get Kirk with a C to come in with him, and there was that tension. He goes, "No, come on, I'm inviting you." Like I thought that scene was really great. I was like, "Oh, this is a really good scene." And next thing you know, like I thought we were gonna see something else, but no, he's walking up to him in the pool. He's like, "Hey, what's up? How'd it go?" It's like, "All right." And again,
What were you supposed to see? He said he brought him to the
no,
prison to meet someone. He didn't want to go in the
yeah,
prison.
yeah, no, I know, but then no, he went in by himself. Like there was to me, like there was no payoff even for the tension of the scene. And again, I'm not knocking you for liking it and going deeper. I'm not knocking it for you enjoying it. Again, I'm not even saying it was boring. I was saying like it was really like I could tell it was a good movie. I could tell the things were intentional. It just none of it clicked for me, and that just happens sometimes. And I'm gonna stand. I'm gonna die on this hill that I was just not. I'm not. I'm not dissing the movie. I'm not bad mouthing any part of it except that music in the beginning. But that's about it. And I just thought, I was like, all right. I watched the movie, and that's what I did. There was nothing that it stimulated. I didn't connect with anything in the movie, and I usually do. And I was like, I got nothing. I'm like, but I saw the movie, and again, I know what I saw was well done. And again, I don't know if I'm accurately being able to convey what I felt. Like again, I'm not dissing the movie. I'm not saying it was this movie's so boring. I'm like, no, I saw the movie. It's one I probably won't ever watch again. I probably wouldn't recommend. You know what I mean? But it is what it was. It was a movie. I watched the movie.
Kevin, what movie did you watch?
The Card Collector. No, the Card Counter.
See, that's the
Card
problem.
Collector.
You're not a card collector. That's the
Card
problem.
Collector. Watching
Dude,
El Jockey, watching
how do you
Yu-Gi-Oh.
not feel anything watching a scene of them going through a prison and people being tortured when he was describing the noise and the smell? Like I was going, ugh, like I could feel those things, and you're sitting going, man.
No, no. Like I could tell you, like while I was watching it, I was like, man, this is really well done. It's very visceral. I'm like, all right. Like I don't know if I was just like feeling. I'm like the technical aspects of it. I was enjoying. I was like, oh, this is real. Oh, I can see why they're doing this, and they're doing it from this point of view. I'm like, okay, I got. I'm like, this is really. And I remember thinking, I'm like, oh, this is really well done. Did not feel it.
You know what? I guess like I said, and I think it's kind of funny. I mean, I this is snobby of me to say, but
Here we go.
I think it's funny that you called the movie obtuse. When it kind of seems like the fingers pointed the other way, but like it's just, I guess this is like I said, at the beginning, this is a challenging movie. I mean, you can take it at surface level, or I think that it's asking you to think about things in a deeper way because of what it's not giving you. So I just feel like, Kevin, you didn't even know you signed up for this chess match, and then instead of trying to win, you just laid your queen down and was like, oh, okay, I can just walk away from this.
For the record, you described the definition of obtuse, where it's from one angle, one side to the other, this wide open thing, and that I did not enjoy. Just to let you know.
Why you say? I don't know what's wide open about it.
No, like how there's one aspect where it's, oh, you can enjoy it just on a surface level entertainment, or you could go deeper and it's this big. And again, I didn't lay down my queen. I didn't lay down my queen. I sat there and I watched it. It was like going through an amusement park ride. It took me where it wanted to go, here, there. It was done. I was like, all right, thanks for the memories.
All right, so let me ask you this, because Mark shared, kind of what he felt this movie was about. I shared what I felt this movie was about, what this movie was saying. I think you can agree that not every film is just entertaining and just meant to entertain you. So this movie clearly wasn't that. So what did you think then that this movie is saying, or that this movie is about?
The one part I agree, because I was reading about PTSD today before, and CPTSD, which is like complex post-traumatic stress disorder. I did think it was touching on that. I think it touched on a lot of things. I don't think it was really like honed in on anything. And that's me. I'm like, I agree with what you said earlier, where it was trying to be, maybe he could redeem himself by, helping this kid. Maybe he was having trouble dealing with his, feelings inside. Maybe he could find love. Again, that's why to me, it was just wide open. Like, I don't know what it was trying to say. I'm like, I think, let me see. I do think it spoke to the horrors that could happen during a war. You know what I mean? And the impact that it could have on a person afterwards. But again, like, that's if I try to even, those aspects were well done. But I don't think this movie was speaking to that. I think it was, in an aspect, it almost reminds me a little bit of Sling Blade, where Sling Blade, he starts in the institution. We get this little window and chapter in his life, and then he ends up back in the institution. You know what I mean? I don't think it was as well done as Sling Blade, but I think, hey, he was in prison. We find out he gets out. There's a little chapter. Now he's back, and that's it. And again, it's fine. Not every movie is for everyone, and this one just wasn't for me.
But it's not a matter of being for you. All right, fair enough. So, Juan, I will say, the whole why would he go back and kill Gordo after everything that happened? I think the reason why that ended up happening was because he let this string of Gordo stay around, because he wanted it. When they originally met, him and what was his name? Kurt with a C. Why can't I remember that?
Kurt with a C.
Goodness gracious. when he finally met, when him and Kirk with the C had a his name's just Kirk. Why do we keep saying the C part?
Because that's how he introduced himself like
Yeah, I
3
know.
Every
times in the
time.
movie.
Yeah, fair enough. He was, he could tell he didn't want to do it, and even though he got the number, he wanted to be done with it, but he just kept letting it string along and stay along with it. And he was talking about it, how there's always a point where you just, where you snap. So I think that was it. He was really hoping that he did something good. It
Yeah.
didn't work out, and so why not? This kid's life was ruined. I don't really have anything going for myself. Let me go do the thing I didn't want to do.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think that's valid. I think that's definitely, again, I mean, when we're interpreting, it's it's subjective, right? Like we at the end of the day, we don't know, what Paul Schrader is trying to say. At one point, I thought he was the keyboardist for David Letterman, that was directing this movie. But no, I mean, I see that. I think there's two things for me that are, again, really deep, and actually, again, the more I think about it, the more I do actually like this movie, because I think on one hand, right, just the way his arc was. I think on one hand, it is him say what I described previously of him saying, like, man, I did such horrible things. I cannot forgive myself no matter what. I'm gonna try to maybe see what I can do for this kid, because my hope for salvation, for redemption, is lost. And hence, he does whatever he can, but ends up in the place that I think he feels like he deserves to be, which is in prison. Because
Yeah.
I don't think he can forgive himself. But the other thing that I think is even more tragic that this movie is saying is that this guy never really had a chance.
Yeah.
And I think that at the end of the day, what's really sad is that I think he became resolved to that. Like, he started off good. He said he was a ladies' man. He's a handsome guy. He was in the military. Whatever, he was probably doing well that he got this assignment. Things, I think, at one point were looking pretty good for him. Then this situation happened, and I think that's where I connected it to the Stanford experiment, because I mean, that situation that he found himself in is a situation that none of us could judge and be like, how could he have done that? Right? Because you don't know his life, you don't know his circumstances, and that the Stanford experiment proved that anybody could fall into that, because we're broken and we're human and we're sinful, for first and foremost. So then he came out of that, and I think that's part of, again, he said he didn't do anything. She asked him, like, don't you go to the movies, don't you go, what do you do for fun? He didn't do anything for fun.
No, he
Even,
played cards.
exactly.
That's it. That's all he
Yeah,
did.
yeah, he did say, I like playing cards, right? Yeah,
That's
yeah.
it.
But even with playing cards, like, he didn't allow himself to win a lot of money.
Yeah.
Right? He just won like enough. And then so I think it all leads to, at the end, I think the one shot he had was vicariously through the kid, of giving him a chance to go to college, to pay off his debts, to reconcile with his mother. And I think what happened with the kid almost spoke to him, of like saying, yep, this is just how life is. Can't win. This is just the cards that I've been dealt, to be a little punny here. I think he just becomes resolved with, like, this is just the cards that I've been dealt. And actually, the world makes more sense to me in prison.
Yeah.
So I'm actually okay with going back to prison, like, so yeah, for me, that's actually a really kind of sad outlook on life. But I think
Yeah.
that that's kind of where he was at, and like how he was able to like make sense of the world and the darkness, because it's like, like Kevin said, I mean, it's like war,
Yeah.
people that, a lot of people who get drafted to war, or who end up, maybe they go to the military, but they don't expect a war to all of a sudden break out. They are like, they didn't have a say in that, and so it was like that hell found them. And I think for him, it was kind of like, man, that's just life for me.
Yeah.
And You know,
But then you had that silver lining at the end, and I do agree. Tiffany Haddish was very forgettable. I don't know what it was in her in that role, but
she just
yeah,
can't act, bro.
no, she's been in some movies. Well, I guess if she wants to,
Well,
it's
I
not
think
many. I
she's
think
like
it's
she's
like
a
two.
comedian, so like in
She is,
comedy roles, you know, like
yeah,
it's not a
yeah.
big stretch.
But anyways, not to get off the point. That silver lining was that she showed up at the prison, there
Yeah,
for him, considering what he did. So,
yeah,
it was a
yeah.
nice little ending.
That's
Um,
true. I like that. I like that because there was that scene when they were together, and she was like, "Oh, you can tell me, you know, like the dark stuff you've done,"
yeah,
and
yeah,
he was like, "I don't know." So I think, yeah, you're right. That was the silver line. I think that was the redemption for him. It
yeah.
was
That
like,
was his
look,
arc.
this is who I am, and she was like, "Okay, I still accept you." You
Yeah,
know, even after he killed the guy and went to prison, and she said, you know, the one relationship she had that was meaningful to her ended because of violence. Although I
yeah,
think it was violence toward her. This here is someone who also has a violent streak, not directed toward her, and yet she kind of saw him for who he really was.
yeah. She knew something was up with him.
Hmm.
Is that light place real? That place they went to with all the lights?
Dude, I mean, I was wondering that too. I want to say it is, but if it wasn't, and they made that for the movie, that was incredible.
Because even when the camera started panning out, I kind of felt, man, this kind of looks CGI, but
I know.
it really didn't. Like the sidewalks look like normal sidewalks in the way they're stained certain ways. Like it looked legit. So I don't know if that place exists or not, because I would definitely want to go.
Yeah, the one thing that okay, and this was something, and I think at this point, Kevin's just gone.
I'm, I agree with you. The lights, they were nice.
He's still trying to
Um,
figure out what's in front of him. It's not a
like,
cake, but it's something.
not a cake.
like again,
Smush.
a choice the character made that puzzled me because so contradictory to everything that he was. Whenever he was having a phone conversation, it wasn't really private. He seemed like he would be such a private guy, and yet he's like talking all loud in like a public bathroom and like all over the casino. He's like on his phone talking to. I'm like, I don't. That's so
That,
weird. Like
that
you
is
would.
true.
It was such an odd choice to me that he's just like. You know, I mean, he was never talking about really like anything illegal or whatever.
No, but I get
There
what you're
was
saying. Yeah.
it just didn't seem to like fit the character that he was just like, you know, like just some accountant talking to his client, you know, out in the open, or it was odd. I don't know.
One thing I did
That
not
was,
know, by the way,
uh,
I did
uh
not know something is you could walk away from a poker table, and the dealer would just keep taking your chips to keep you in. I did not know that. I
Yeah,
just
it's
Oh,
called
popped in
it's
being
my
a
head.
blinded
blind.
out.
Yeah, it's a blind. Yeah. So let me ask you this though, Mark. Do you think this movie would be as good? Because I think this is telling again. I think there were a lot of flaws in the way it was presented, but I think what made it intriguing and what salvaged it was Oscar Isaac's performance.
Hmm.
If there was a lesser actor, do you think the movie would still hold up? Like if there was the same story, same movie, just replace the actor with someone who's not as good as Oscar Isaac, you think the movie would have still held up in your
I
eyes?
I think so because there was a lot of scenes that were heavy on camera work, like the way the camera would stay on this scene a little bit longer, and how we saw this from this angle, what we didn't see on screen. I think it would have been probably not as good. Um, uh, I I'd probably be a one and done with it, to be honest. But I still would enjoy it. I think it'd be okay.
Um, so since you are a self professed kind of, you know, bloodthirsty and you know, gore hungry type of guy, you know, when you watch
Yeah.
your horror movies and whatnot. Did
Mhm.
you feel like a little bit of disappointment that they didn't show you that torture scene at the end?
Always, always. I wish when they originally showed the prison scene, I wish they would got more into depth with that. I'll watch that stuff all day. I don't know why, but yeah, no, I was disappointed when that went off camera. I said, no, come on.
Yeah, I mean, I don't share your affinity for violence and gore, but I feel that would have made a stronger statement. Also in the prison scene, if they would have shown, because I mean they talked about horrible stuff, right?
Yeah,
They talked about guys pooping themselves and peeing
yeah,
themselves and like terrible stuff, and they shied away from like really showing it to you. I think
yeah,
that would have made for a stronger kind of. I mean, I probably would have felt some type of way watching that, but I
yeah.
think it would have drove that point of like the
But yeah, that's
burden,
good.
the guilt, everything that he
Right.
was carrying with him. It would have made it that much more impactful. But then the torture scene at the end, I just wanted that payoff, man, of like
Yeah,
we've
yeah,
been talking about this whole time. We know this guy's done dark stuff. Like give us a glimpse of it, and then
yes.
you know you just even it was even hard just seeing him at the end and like his fingers was just like hanging there,
Yeah,
and you're, oh my gosh, what did these guys do to each other? But seeing that would have I think been a huge
Yeah.
payoff.
I think even if they just showed like the camera on Oscar Isaac while he was doing stuff, and you didn't really see Willem Dafoe, like something would have been better than
Yeah,
nothing.
or at least, you know, do one of those things where maybe you don't show me, but you show me enough that it like makes me really, really uncomfortable. And it just like it makes me feel more like what's happening. So now I like have a greater sense of what
yeah.
it is that this guy's dealing with, you know? But instead it still left me kind of detached from that. Again, not that I have a lust for that, but I just think it would have
No, it
transported
spices up
me.
the movie.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And just the power of what it's saying here would
Yeah.
have added a lot to it.
You know what scene I always think about? Casino Royale at the end where
Oh,
he's being
God.
tortured in that seat. And I always think about that scene because I know it's come up and that thud, I'm like,
Yeah,
oh,
yeah,
just you don't have to see it, but just
yep,
the sound, it's
yeah.
subtle, and you feel it. It just
And
spices up the movie.
and you just picture his balls like raw hamburger meat. That's what I picture, man.
Looking like some candied apples.
Yeah, that's a great example because that is a horrifying torture scene to sit through, and you don't see anything. You're right.
Nothing at all. The
Yeah,
only thing we see is we see the cutout seat, and then we see him sit down
yeah.
on it, and we see these naked, and that's it.
Ugh. Oh my god, just thinking about it now. Ugh.
The way he drops that little club and starts twirling around and goes, boom.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. I
All
want to
right.
watch that
Well,
movie again.
Kevin, since you missed this episode, I mean, give us something, man. Tell us about life. Tell us
Well,
what's
we gotta let's do our ratings before we do all that.
we gotta hear something from this guy. Well, you have to start, right? Because it was your pick.
Exactly.
Oh, fun! Yeah, I'll go for it. So for the movie, The Card Collector, I'm giving it three little Jerry's. I was very I like the movie. I would definitely watch it again. It's a nice slow burn. There is things that I would have wanted more from, but I still enjoyed the movie. I wish there was more blackjack. I was expecting like a cool mobster casino movie, but I was thoroughly happy with what I got. Three little Jerry's. Go, run, see now.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. For a movie called The Card Counter, you know, which again, you can call it whatever you want, but I did, I was excited when he went into his blackjack breakdown of card counting and then bringing poker into it. I kind of thought card, card games and whatnot were going to play a bigger role. I mean, they did, but, you know, it wasn't really about him, you know, doing that, I guess. I also want to say, bro, I mean, I I have seen Raging Bull at one point, but that's I think the only other Paul Schrader movie I've ever seen. I do want to see First Reformed,
Mm-hmm.
because I heard good things about that, and the story seems really intriguing. But yeah, aside from Raging Bull, I've never seen Taxi Driver. So, yeah, this was an interesting experience with Paul Schrader. Um, but anyway, I mean, I think as you can pick up from my conversation that it was very thought provoking, and I enjoyed that. I enjoyed thinking about it. I enjoyed Oscar Isaac's performance, but again, I do think it was quite flawed, and I definitely don't think it's a movie for everyone because it is so challenging. I think a lot of people would miss, some of those deeper parts of it, and unfortunately not get to appreciate that. So for me, I have to go at the expense of insulting Mark. For me, it's 1.5 little Jerry's.
Wow, I was
Wow.
not expecting that.
Hey, bro, that's a whole point over Tick Tick Boom. So
This guy's going, I love you, I love you, I love you, I hate you.
I think it's fair.
Well,
1.5 is fair.
I can tell you gave it a lower score than I'm about to give it,
That is
which
that
was
is-
amazing. Like when you gave your score, I was like, "What?"
This whole episode
No,
about the rails.
I think Kevin's rating is going to be like illegitimate because he keeps saying I want to like it, I want to
I'm a-
like it. So I think he wants to
He
give it the
wants to,
score.
give it a
Listen.
review.
Listen, let me speak. All right.
Finally.
I agree with Juan that this movie is not for everyone. It was not for me. What my grade's going to reflect is the fact that I could tell that it was a well done movie. I could tell that there are aspects that people would enjoy that aren't going to be me. My grade's not going to be that much higher than Juan's, but it is higher. I settled on a 1.75 because I do think Oscar Isaac's performance is great. I do think a lot of the stuff, like the shots they held on, a lot of the things that they did were technically sound and good. I like the visceral thing about the prison. I enjoyed it. I didn't enjoy it.
Bro,
Can I say that?
your
That's a
dog
lie.
doesn't even
That's a lie.
believe you.
No, my dog is crying because I made her watch it with me, and that's why she's crying because she's saying this movie is crap. But I would say it's a 1.75, mostly for Oscar Isaac. And like I said, and the technical stuff that I could tell it's a good movie. You guys might enjoy it. You seemed like you really enjoyed it. Mark seemed like he really enjoyed it. Everyone seemed like they enjoyed it except me, and I'm gonna stand by that. I thought it was okay. I give it a 1.75.
Okay.
It's just a problem I have is you can't tell me what you don't like. You just keep saying, I don't know.
But
I don't know.
I tell you, I don't want to badmouth it because I didn't. It wasn't that I didn't like it. I'm not sitting here like Stillwater where I did not like the stuff they did in Stillwater. I could tell everything was good. It just I could tell nothing was clicking for me at all in the movie. While I was watching it, I'm like, I felt nothing. Like I said, there was no emotion. I cry at Folgers commercials, and I felt no emotion.
You compared this movie to Stillwater?
No, I'm saying it wasn't like Stillwater.
Stillwater was great.
Oh no, it wasn't.
No, I thought you were saying like Stillwater, the movie.
No.
You didn't know what was happening and you didn't care for it. And
no, I said like that, but like I didn't think Stillwater was a well done movie. You know what I mean? So this wasn't like that at all. Like I think I could look at it, I could say, oh wow, I can see why people would like this movie. It just nothing was clicking for me on this movie. Like nothing. I'm like, but I didn't think anything was bad. Like when I was watching Stillwater, there was things I actively didn't like about that movie. You know what I mean? This I didn't feel that at all. You know what I mean? It just wasn't there. You know what I mean? And sometimes that happens.
I'm over this episode.
And I'm glad I both of y'all are on different ends of the spectrum, and I'm glad you both had very powerful emotions towards me.
Yeah, we had to pick up your slack.
No, I like listen. Everything I said was going to anger anybody, but there wasn't much to say. Like I didn't hate the movie, I didn't love the movie. I will never watch this movie again. I really wouldn't recommend it. Again, Juan was right. It could have been called the card counter. It could have called Billy's Life. It could have been, hey, we're gonna kill this dude. Could have been called anything because it really wasn't about much of anything to do with card counting. But that's just what I feel, and it's okay for me to feel it, guys. we're three guys who like movies.
Yeah, I know you keep
Sometimes.
saying that. Yeah, we get it, man. We know how that works. We don't need to keep repeating that. I'm just trying to understand. Just saying I don't like it. I don't know. That doesn't feel like a good reason for me. But you're just gonna keep repeating it, so I'm gonna take it.
I am. I got nothing.
Yes, I know.
So
That's what it is.
Mark, Moon Knight.
Yes.
You gonna watch it?
Say again.
Moon Knight, is that what it's called?
Yes.
I'm gonna wait until it's all. I'm tired of this weekly. It's so stupid. Like, just give me the show. I don't know why. I want to watch. If I want to binge things in a day, then let me do that. Don't tell me I have to wait 5 months to watch your show. So I'm just gonna wait. I'm gonna wait
it's
because
really good. It's really good, by the way.
Well, Disney's stupid. I don't know what else to tell you.
Yeah. So I'm really getting over it. The show thing, because Netflix does it. Hulu so far. I mean, I haven't.
Netflix doesn't do that. Netflix releases the whole season, baby.
No, man, no.
Yeah.
Look
That's
at
what they've done for Ozark.
Yeah, well, they do for some shows, not all shows though.
Oh, only the shows that matter.
Which I still haven't seen Ozark. I need to watch that already.
This conversation's over.
All right. Well, you know what it is. I'm waiting for the second half now. I thought this was done, and then they said, "Oh, this is the first half." I'm like, "What?" All right.
But it's like
just,
it's its own thing. It's a 7.
Just call it season 3, and the next one's season 4. What's part A, part B for what?
It's a 2-season final season.
Yawn.
It comes out this month. It comes out soon.
Oh, really? Okay, great. Because I got to catch up.
All right, guys. Man, some of us, not naming names, really dropped the ball on this.
You know, and he even told us he had notes. And what notes? What was his one note? I don't really know anything what's going on. Not impressed.
No, like I had my notes. My notes talked about the prison scene, and it talked about Oscar Isaac. And I literally have a note that says they stole the music from Stranger Things at the very beginning of this movie.
Listen, unlike Oscar Isaac, who maybe or maybe did not get his redemption in this movie, Kevin, you'll have a shot at redemption in the next episode. Love you guys. Have a good night. And to all the haters, peace out.
Goodbye.